It's been wonderful for me to get to know my friends in the Hizmet Movement. It provides a wonderful counterbalance or an antidote to the misrepresentation of all people of the Islamic faith as radicals or violent or even terrorists. It's wonderful for me to get to know my friends in the Hizmet Movement. I believe that the charitable activities of the Hizmet Movement are a way that people are the people for me. My name is Reverend Debra Loudin-McCann, and I am an ordained clergywoman in the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. That's a Lutheran church, a branch of the Protestant Church in the United States. In 2007, I was invited to go on the trip to Turkey at what was that time known as the Institute for Interfaith Dialogue here in Texas. And through that trip and meeting the folks from the Dialogue Institute, I came to hear more about the work of Fethullah Gulen and the Hizmet Movement. What I find so wonderful about the Hizmet Movement is their openness to the understanding that some modern ways and the education and science don't have to be in opposition to our religions and our religious traditions. Also, there is a wonderful open-heartedness about it, a sense of hospitality and welcome that I found very beautiful. The emphasis on education and building schools and building hospitals, the insistence that education is the best way for us all to better ourselves, I think is some of the most significant work of the Hizmet Movement. And that work of compassion and education is rooted in an openness that all people are worthy of the opportunities to make this world a better place and for us to better our lives in order that we can be better people and citizens. I believe that Mr. Fethullah Gulen is a modern-day prophet, perhaps not in the technical and religious sense for some of us, but the way that he has tried to help people understand that living a life of faith is enhanced by education and works of compassion toward all people, to me represents the very best of our religious impulses as fellow humans. It's been wonderful for me to get to know my friends in the Hizmet Movement. It provides a wonderful counterbalance or an antidote to the misrepresentation of all people of the Islamic faith as radicals or violent or even terrorists. I know this is not the truth, and I can tell other people and bear witness to that truth because of my friendships with the people in the Hizmet Movement, because of what I have seen and experienced with them. I believe that the Hizmet Movement probably represents some of the very best of the highest ideals and teachings of Islam. There are a great many movements and societies and non-governmental operations and charities that work around the world, and most all of them have at their root a desire to share compassion. In this sense, I believe the Hizmet Movement is among the most respected and most effective in the sense of sharing charitable activities. their showing of compassion toward outreach to victims of natural disasters such as floods and earthquakes. They're building hospitals. I had a personal experience to visit one of the hospitals while I was in Turkey, and I broke my ankle. And the care was absolutely top-notch. And beyond the care, the medical care that I was given, the care of the people for me as a sister was absolutely wonderful. So in terms of being at a charitable and relief organization, yes, I think that they do very, very well. It was through the activities of interfaith dialogue that I became first acquainted with the Hizmet movement. That was what first drew me to want to learn more about this movement and about Fethullah Gulen and about the work in Turkey and around the world. It's my personal opinion and my opinion as a person of faith and a clergy person for my religion that interfaith dialogue is absolutely necessary and critical to peacemaking in the world. We are called, in my religion, to be peacemakers, and nearly every religion in the world emphasizes peace among all peoples as a primary tenet. The work of interfaith dialogue, the openness to learning about one another, is the biggest step toward breaking down barriers of fear. And it is fear that begets violence. It is fear that feeds on ignorance. So to learn about one another, to sit at table together and break bread, to share our personal and cultural experiences, this is the necessary environment for peace to flourish. During my visit to Turkey in 2007, I was privileged to visit several Hizmet schools. We were always very impressed with the joy of the children and their eagerness to meet those of us from far away. They were very proud of their schools and eager to share with us what they were learning. When we raise our children and teach them about others and that others are not to be feared but to be welcomed, and that as we have knowledge to share with them, perhaps they have knowledge and wisdom to share with us as well. Again, I go back to saying this is the groundwork for peace. If our children can be raised in a more open, aware, and accepting world, then they will know, hopefully, a more peaceful world. The education is what drives out ignorance. It is ignorance that breeds fear, and it is fear that breeds violence. If we wish to have peace and an end to violence in this world, we must end the ignorance. Education, education, education. I believe that the charitable activities of the Hizmet movement are a way that people are putting into action their faith in what the Prophet Muhammad has taught them. That acts of charity and compassion, to show hospitality and to give alms for those who are in need, are at the center of the faith of Islam. So I have seen this as a way people are being very faithful to their religion and to their cultural beliefs. In my religion as well, to have care for others is at the very core of how we live out our faith, our religious duties. So I see us as being very much together in this kind of work. We do not need to put a ban on who may and who may not receive aid. If we are indeed all the children of the one God, then we are called to help one another, whether we are Jewish or Christian or Muslim. I am not a political scholar, so I do not know all the nuances or layers of controversy and response about the Hizmet movement and its place in the political and socioeconomic life of Turkey. I know that there have been those who challenge it as being too good to be true and not being truly a religious organization. To that, I really don't have a response other than to say that what I have experienced, what I have seen, what I have read, and what has drawn my attention is the compassion, the striving to lift people up through education and through health, and an openness and a hospitality to others. To that I speak very highly. I would love to see the Hizmet movement, especially here in the United States, have a more prominent place in interfaith dialogue. I believe that it is spreading slowly and carefully and fruitfully, especially through the universities. But I would love to see us be able to be lifted up more on the national level here in the United States. We have a great need at this time in the United States of America for healing in our understanding of our brothers and sisters who practice Islam. And I think that there's so very much that is good and whole and healing that could be learned from followers of the Hizmet movement. We have a saying in my tradition that God works in mysterious ways. I was raised in a very narrow faith tradition, one of the fundamentalist Protestant traditions as a young girl. And there was a lot of fear of people who didn't do things the way we did, and of people who didn't understand God the way that we did. And so I was always carefully instructed to try to convert other people to the truth as my religious leaders understood it. I no longer feel that way. I believe that God will teach God's truth through whatever means necessary. And if we are open to being taught by God, we will be blessed by those others we meet who may think differently than we do, who may understand God differently than we do, who may address God by a different name. But if we're willing to be taught and we're open to being led, there's such great blessing in store. All I can say is that this has been nothing but blessing for me to get to know my brothers and sisters, my friends in the Hizmet movement. I look forward to more opportunities to get together and learn from one another. They have so graciously invited me to share with them, and I still have so many questions and things I would like to learn from them. I pray that God will bless us both with much more time together.
The most amazing thing about this movement, non-movement, the fact that the ideas live and they touch people and they call you to service. You don't have to sign up, you don't have to pay any money. You live these ideas and these ideals.
The most important contribution of Hizmet movement and Ustad Fethullah Gulen is the industry of making of human being. This is the most important part of this movement.